This is a really cool story. The Newport to Bermuda race set sail last Friday, and with Newport behind them and over 600 miles of open ocean ahead, including the Bermuda Triangle, it's quite an endeavor. A trip like this had us wondering, what would it be like to be on a sailboat to Bermuda? So we met up with the crew of the Volvo 70 team to find out.
Most people only experience sailing trips like this right here while they're watching it on TV. Sailors say life is tougher than it looks when you're watching it on TV. The crew says even the noises you hear at night are enough to scare you to death.
You hear the simplest things, water rushing past the hull of the boat, which is a nice, pleasant sound. At the same time, you hear the grinders and the winches going, but then there's more irritating noises like the easing of sheets on the drum, where it's friction against friction.
On this boat, every member of the team has a specialty, so some days when sailors are off duty, they may be able to crawl into their bunk for some sleep. Other days, they may have to forego sleep altogether. And when they do get to sleep, will they be asking for a sleeping bag to warm them up or begging for a fan to cool off? You never know while on the ocean. Temperatures vary depending on the boat's location at that time.
That's the nature of this race, is that we go through all climates and elements where we can have. There's days below deck it's well over 120 degrees, and there's other days that, it's barely at freezing.
A sailing trip brings to mind images of romantic days at sea with champagne, but that is not the case on this boat.
We're just pouring the hot water in the cooler to reconstitute the food. We close the lid on it for 45 minutes, and then voila, there's dinner, or lunch, or breakfast.
Eating and sleeping may be tough on this boat, but sailors say there are some things that make it all worthwhile.
Middle of the ocean, starlit night, no other light around to dampen the stars at all, to me is always a highlight.
Seeing whales and other big mammals is also a highlight, but spotting a lot of them can be dangerous while sailing.
A lot of these mammals don't get out of the way very fast, especially the whales out there. So we look at things like whales very guardedly. You don't want to run into them, and they just can't get out of the way fast enough. So we're constantly looking out for big mammals.
And while the seas may throw some surprises at the sailors, this particular race has been very good to the Volvo 70 team in the past.
So far, knock on wood, knock on carbon fiber, the Bermuda race hasn't thrown any of those curveballs at us. But you never know. You got to treat the sea with respect.
And speaking of luck, this boat has made the trip through the notorious Bermuda Triangle before, and the crew is not scared of the mythical dangers.
Not to say there aren't spirits out there that are ready to gobble us all up, but I'm not planning on seeing any, I'll tell you that.
All right, the first boat crossed the finish line yesterday morning, but over 100 boats are still in the race. We actually have a camera on board one of the boats. We're going to share some of that video with you when that boat arrives in Bermuda later in the week. Want to track them or watch the finish line webcam? We'll put a link on our website, foxprovidence.com.